You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 414. These are like area codes now. 414.
Yeah.
That's a good area code too. Back in the day, Tom, the lower number the better, right? Because it was less rotating. 414, I don't know what city that is, but that's probably an important city. 314 is St. Louis, maybe? Anyway, showing my age. This is Jeremiah, Bones, Zach, former Representative Tom Saunders, independent town councilman Tom Saunders now. We have a big show planned. We're going to talk about this mid-cycle redistricting thing that's potentially going to happen. Been a lot of pressure put on the folks that are holding the seats in the General Assembly now. Vice President's been flying in. I think some of the leadership has flown out to the Capitol and has been leaned on pretty heavy. So we're going to talk through that and see where we think it's going. Tom's been on a big book tour with Paul Landis, the final remaining Secret Service agent from the Kennedy assassination. So we're going to hear about that a little bit. And then just because I wanted to poke the bear, there's been some modifications to the White House made.
Oh.
And I thought Tom, being the historian of Henry County, might have some good information up for that one as well. So that's the plan. And then we deviate as usual. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we provoke you, other times we make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Mr. Bones, you were here for Patreon.
I was.
For briefly.
All just for the good parts.
Just for the tasty part.
Yeah.
If folks want to hear the rest of it, how do they do that?
We're going to go to patreon.com, sign up for Boss Hog of Liberty.
Yep.
And at any dollar donation was gladly appreciated, but $50, I want to tell you thank you at the beginning of every show.
All right. Who's doing that nowadays?
Jonathan Phillips over at Great Lakes Honda in Fishers, Indiana.
Ooh, we're on the big H.
Yeah.
Right out of Greensburg, Indiana. Honda.
We got Blake Reese over at Varsity Outfitters.
Custom Embroidery.
Tommy Oakes over at Walnut Ridge RV. Get you a home on wheels.
That's right.
Morrell Monument Cleaning. We'll make your dead people spots clean and spotless again. And then we got Pops Recycle, making that Schwinn new.
That's right. Taking your Chicago Schwinn, rehabbing them. He's got some extras down there in Rushville on consignment.
Yeah.
Lots of options. So check out the Facebook pages for all those guys. If you do join the Patreon as well, that's what pays the bills, keeps the lights on, gets us on the air, all the fun stuff that we're doing. That's the
you
life.
get more sponsors, you can turn the heat on.
I turned it on. So I walked in. We have an office mate, Brian Nichols, the Brian Nichols Show. He works in here during the day, and he'd rolled it back to 64. So it had dropped down, and I walked in the door, Tom walked in the door, Zach walked in the door all about the same time, and I hadn't got to turn the heat on. So it's cranked up now. It's cranked up. But listen, if we get 2 or 3 more than $50 ones, 70 degrees. I'll make that promise, Tom.
Okay.
You get us 3 more $50 sponsors, we'll be 70 degrees when you come back here. Get to 73 degrees, it'd probably be a co-host. He'd be happy to do it every week.
Okay.
What's the temperature in your house? What do you guys set it to?
In the summertime, it's like 67.
Yeah, down low.
And in the winter, she wants it like at 72.
Okay.
And
she wants to be expensive both ways.
Right. Yeah.
All right. She wants to be comfortable.
I did we didn't turn the furnace on till, we've been gone for 3 days. When I came home, it was on. We have an older family member who lives with us, and she was cold. I tell Sue to turn the fireplace on. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's fair. Mr. Bones, did you guys throw the furnace on?
We did last weekend for a little bit just to make sure everything's kind of up and running.
Yeah. I finally turned ours on yesterday, and I was nervous that it wasn't going to work because it's first time for the year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that those guys are all busier than crap because this is now's the time they're all turning them on or breaking.
Yeah.
So anyway,
because we went from 80s on what day was that?
Saturday.
Saturday to now. I don't even know if it got past 55 today.
It was like, 54.
I've been in a sweatshirt almost all day, but you're still wearing shorts.
All year round, baby.
UPS guys, y'all are crazy.
Well, with legs like these, you gotta show them off.
Did we start the show? I don't know. I've wandered.
They show up better in snow drifts than pants.
Yeah,
That's right. You got the truck stuck yet?
no. Oh, yes, I have actually. But I got
Mud or
out.
snow?
Easier to do in the afternoon or the morning.
harder to
Easier
do
when it's easier to do when no one's plowed the road. I thought I could probably do this.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had like loaded up enough. It was like a beast because it had so much stuff in the back, and then it got worse.
Well, that would be first part of the morning, and then the very end of your day
When
be
it's
that.
heavy.
Yeah, I got it stuck like right in the middle where it's like there's
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah,
All right. The reason that I booked Tom is that how long were you in the General Assembly?
Some people would say too long, but 26 years.
26 years. So you got to be a part of the drawing of the maps 2 times?
2 times, yeah. Yeah.
This is. Were you there to draw them the most recent time as well? Or
Yes,
you were?
yeah.
Okay. So these are your maps. This is an affront upon
I
Tom
voted for
Saunders.
these maps,
You
yeah.
you voted for them.
But I didn't run in it.
Right. You got to draw these and then you retired
Yeah.
after as they went into place.
But I remember when they tried to draw the maps prior to me getting there, and they tried to draw them in the middle. I call it the term. And Paul Landis was the leader, and they tried to do it. And the Democrats went home because I think they went in session. Anyway, after they tried to redraw the maps, Republicans lost seats. And I tried to share that with the speaker and Corey Criswell the other day. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you plan.
So the national wave right now is that Texas and California are both redrawing, and they're essentially a wash, right? There's maybe 5 seats that theoretically are going to be a pickup for Republicans in Texas. So then California is saying, hey, we're going to draw again, and they're going to do 5 seats. And then I assume that somewhere somebody looked at a map of the country and said, Indiana's 7-2, but if we lean just right, this could be 9-0, right? That's their dream. So maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, this idea was floated that Indiana would do a mid-cycle redistrict.
Right. Mid-cycle. That's the word.
Mid-cycle, because this the current year is 2025. We're halfway.
And California didn't start it. I mean, I think
Texas started
Texas
it.
started it.
And California's Governor Newsom, who loves a microphone, he's trying to essentially draw to get those spots back.
Right.
North Carolina did it, and I think they're going to try to get 1 seat as well in I think it's made it through 1 chamber of their assembly and not both. But not y'all, but the Indiana General Assembly has gone home, right? They're done. So this would be a special session that would be called. And there's this, what I want to know is the behind the scenes is how this actually works. Because what we're told is the governor would call a special session, and then the General Assembly would get together and meet.
But they got their ducks in a row before the governor calls.
So they want to know that if the governor is going to call them in, that they're going to do what they're expecting to do.
Correct.
They don't want the embarrassment of being called in and then not doing it.
Well, also, I've been told the polling shows the majority of people in Indiana don't want them to do it. But the majority of people in Indiana aren't crazy about Senate Bill 1. So if we call you into session and we get you to do something on property tax while you're here, we'll just do the redistricting. So that I think it's a bad idea. Why do we need to be greedy? We've got 72 Republicans in the House versus 28 Democrats. You got 2 Democrats in Congress.
So in theory, if they redistricted, they would also be looking at the General Assembly seats.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't know if they're going to touch those. I haven't heard.
If you draw, I guess a precinct, you don't change what's in a precinct. You just change what precincts are in which district.
Yeah, and I guess I should have asked somebody, but I thought they were just concentrating on the congressional seats.
Have they floated maps yet? Like proposed?
They
maps?
don't. If you ask them, they have no map, but I've seen maps. So
Somewhere a map came from.
How do you
and I was told the maps were drawn in Washington. So
how do you cut up? How do you get take Andre Carson's seat?
I think they are carving Indianapolis up into 3 different congressional.
That's what you have to carve up Indianapolis just into chunks to get that to happen.
But the theory, so regardless of whether or not this is okay or not, you're starting to spread some areas so thin that you may lose seats, right? I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to pick up Andre Carson's seat or Frank Morvan's seat in the region. And, a district, I don't think the 6th district is in any danger of going away, but maybe the 5th district. And the map I saw, we actually get drawn out of, we get drawn into the 5th district.
Yeah, we're in the 5th, Victoria Sparks.
Yeah.
But we were talking before we started. I read a lot of Facebook. I don't do a lot of posting, and I get upset when I read it that the Democrats, it's not only Democrats are upset with this. I know a lot of Republicans are unhappy with what's going on right now. And how are they going to vote? Are they going to, and we've got a supermajority in the House. Maybe they decide they don't want that anymore. So I think it's pretty dangerous for the House to do this. But the Senate supposedly doesn't have
just a little bit more.
the Senate doesn't have supposedly they don't have enough votes to do it.
So Rod Bray leads the senators,
Right.
and his spokesperson said this week that they don't have enough votes, that it's not there. The Indy Star did a whip count today, and I think they found 6 or 7 senators that said yes and 6 or 7 that said no. And then most of the others have been smart enough to not say anything.
Well, I talked to our senator and our former senator, and I don't think either one of them are greatly supportive of it.
Yeah, and that's the feeling I got. That the Indy Star had them as no comment to this point. They haven't made any.
I probably
comments.
shouldn't have said anything. Well, I appreciated it.
Breaking news.
Sorry, Gene. Jeff.
So what's it like, the pressure that gets put on when somebody has, and it not necessarily just this map deal, but if the national party, if the governor or somebody's really leaning on something as a priority, which it sounds like this is, when J.D. Vance flies to Indianapolis a couple of times, and I think they all got a tour of the White House before the modifications.
I gotta talk to Bruce Borders. Bruce is down in Jasonville,
Jackamack area,
and I was told I haven't got to talk to him, but I heard he forgot his his ID. He not only got on the airplane to fly to Washington and got to fly back, but he also talked his way into the White House. And that while they were getting in, when they walked in, he was standing there having lunch with the help. So I can't wait to hear that story.
That's fantastic. So what's it like when they're pressuring you, when this stuff's going on? You had a noted maverick streak when you were.
That's why Tom was never a committee chair.
when you were
Tom
in the
never got
assembly.
any bills heard. It's tough. I told Corey at the book signing we had State House on Tuesday. I had former and current legislators there, and he's standing next to the one of the Supreme Court justices. And I told the justice I still believed in the court of law, and with hope he would, and Corey was standing there, and I said, and I tell Corey, you can vote no and still go home and get reelected. I did it. And, but it's tough. I mean, I've been a 99-1. I've been thrown out of the governor's office on a couple of occasions.
By multiple governors.
I cannot imagine the pressure that they're in with J.D. Vance. And, and they're telling, of course, they're saying they won't, but Trump's threatening us, you may not get your federal funds if you don't do this.
So the big carrot in the stick right now is that they want to toll I-70 and I-65, right?
Yeah.
And the assembly passed legislation that said, hey, we can do that, but they need
a
DOT
waiver.
approval.
Yeah. But I was told they already had that. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm on the outskirts. I don't know. But I was told. Go ahead.
This federal government, this version of the federal government, I don't know if you have it or not.
But
Until you got the money in your pocket, I don't think you have any.
And even if you have it in writing, you don't. I don't know. But I would think the president's going to do some phone calls, and we have I don't know if I should know. Yeah, the speaker's daughter works with Donald Trump. She's the assistant press secretary. So that kind of puts him in a bad situation, I think. Your dad don't pass this, you don't have a job. Is that how that works?
More than likely.
Threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's not the only. I get that. I get that the pressure's there, but at some point you got to make decisions for your state versus yourselves, right?
That's what we're sent there for.
Yeah, that's in theory you're there to represent.
And
people.
once you get, this was my problem. Once you got elected, I didn't look at who was the D and who was the R. It was what was best for the county. And when we did the toll road up north, I wasn't going to vote for it. They were giving those 5 counties across the top of the state like $40 million apiece, and I was expected to vote yes. And so I told them I wouldn't vote for it, and I get called to the governor's office, and Mitch tells me he needs his vote, and I said, my vote, and I said, well, I represent the oldest part of I-70 in the state of Indiana. It's fallen apart. And I said, they're supposed to rebuild the US 27 exchange next year, but under your proposal, it doesn't happen for another 8 years now. Well, what if I put that on the list? I said, okay, now let's go to Newcastle. I said, when I get home from Indianapolis and I get off at 3 and 70, since they built the filling stations, I said, there's only 1 lane exit ramps there. I break the law because I drive in the berm so I can turn right and I don't have to wait on the traffic. I'd like to have 2 lane exit ramps. Okay. And I don't know.
You had a list?
I had a list. And, are you done? And I said, yeah, I think I'm done. I can support this. And
What'd you get for daylight saving time?
nothing. But Bob Cherry walked up to me afterwards and said, I didn't get a damn thing. And I said, well, I can't help it. You weren't smart enough to ask for it. I mean,
Greenfield has enough.
Yeah. I like to point out that he was talking about 70 to the governor, and Mitch was out of office.
2004.
Yeah, and it's still the worst section of 70, potentially in the country.
well, I hear about it from everybody.
Jeremiah and I hear about it from RV groups, from people who travel all over the country, and some have been like, I've traveled every mile of I-70, and the worst of it is
Wayne and Henry County,
east of Indianapolis in Indiana. So
we sponsor an antique show in Louisville, and we have dealers from New York, and they talk about how bad it is, and we have to go across Indiana to get to Illinois. You know, so, of course, we're going to annex them into them.
that's right. Yeah.
the committee met in Terre Haute this week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so embarrassing.
And the money, if we're tight on money, how much did that cost us? You had to pay each of those legislators $100 and some per diem, plus mileage. And they know Illinois has to do it first. And
Illinois hasn't sent anybody agreed to anything.
And
we're getting their poorest counties, and they're non-contiguous.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. If we want to annex something in Newcastle, it has to be contiguous. Well, we're jumping from one side of the state to the other.
NDOT's going to have to build a salt barn damn near in Iowa.
Maybe get a better deal on salt out then.
So here's my other quarrel with this redistricting is that maps aren't really competitive as it is. I don't know how many you lived through a number of different eras in the state house, and towards the end of your time there, it was the super majority for the Republicans. But when you were elected, the seat was held by a Democrat. You won the seat for the Republicans.
Threw the House in the 50-50 split.
And you're the reason you caused all kinds of trouble by making it 50-50. And they were threatening to eliminate a seat from the General Assembly at that point. And I think you pointed out a chandelier that had 100 light bulbs. And you're like, I don't know which one they're getting rid of, but somebody's going to go. So you've dealt with really competitive eras, and then this era we have now. What's deciding that? The maps, you talked about the maps, and these were coming out of Washington. Is it just software that's drawing maps that are uncompetitive, and that's what's going on here?
Well, the maps we ran by were never, as far as I know, were never drawn in D.C. Now, we did have a company that drew maps in Indianapolis, but the race is in the primary. That's where the race was always happening. And a lot of it is your member. What do you want? And I said, when I was running, I kept getting a libertarian candidate out of Hagerstown.
Rex Bell was pretty strong.
Yeah, my wife was the only libertarian judge elected in the nation, and they said, let us draw you out of Hagerstown. You won't have that. I said, no, I like Hagerstown as a community. And I said, if I can't beat him, I don't deserve to be there. But, you know, a lot of them just want more and more safer and safer. And I was talking to a Democrat rep yesterday who's getting a primary, and he hasn't had to do anything for 20 years. And he says, I'm going to have to dust off the machine and get started again.
I think uncompetitive races lead to bad government, in my view. I don't think that people have to get out and work for it and actually hear from folks and do. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm jaded.
No, yeah.
But I don't think that some of these folks. I don't know when the last time Rod Bray had a real challenger was. I don't know when the last time Jeff Rotz had a real challenger.
Well, even when I ran and didn't have it, I always got out and worked because I did it. I did 22 parades a year. I knocked on doors. I didn't want them to say they only saw Tom Saunders when he wanted their vote. I don't miss the parades. I miss the people, but you've got people that I said I could never run in Brian Bosma's district, but I also don't think Brian Bosma could have ran in my district.
He represented Indianapolis.
He represented Indianapolis.
Now, I walked in parades for Tom. I ran against Tom for fun.
And we're still talking to each other.
And we're perfectly fine and friendly and text all the time.
Yeah.
I worked for Rex Bell's campaign when he ran for governor. I ran Rex's campaign for governor. So I've been on all sides of the issue. And it's because if we don't have elections, what's the point, right?
Well, you talk about Rex Bell. When he was running for governor, he had a stroke.
He had a stroke on November 2nd.
Election
day was November 7th.
He really wanted to vote, which meant that the county election board was going to have to take the 2 members and drive to Indianapolis and vote him in the hospital.
The traveling board was going to have to go to Methodist.
And somebody called Wayne County, and they weren't going to do it. And John called me and said, Dad really wants to vote. So I called the Wayne County chairman and the senator and the rep over there and said, you realize how bad this is going to look if we refuse to allow him to vote for himself? And they ended up sending somebody up.
Yeah, we should have early voted that one anyway. But we wanted the him voting him voting at his polling place on election day.
Well, now they're not even going to let you vote early, are they? That's another thing that's under attack. It's just I thought Indiana did well in running elections, and I thought it was all about we want the most people to vote, make it convenient for them, and now they want to tighten that up. I just think we're going the wrong way.
Micah Beckwith, the lieutenant governor, he came out with a big statement yesterday saying he wants 9-0. He wants to
greedy,
fight 9-0. Mitch Daniels, he wrote an op-ed that was in the Washington Post yesterday or today, and he said somebody has to lead the climb out of the mud hole on this. He's been out of touch with Republicans for a long time, though, so I don't think we're doing it. I don't think we're getting any with his bones. Mitch said, I don't underestimate the pressure Indiana's leaders are under, and I empathize with them in the predicament that they face, but I hope they'll quietly and respectfully pass on the idea. The duty of the citizens and the future of our state is to a national political organization, not a temporary occupant of the White House.
I agree.
I don't know how temporary it is, though.
I'm kind of concerned. Yeah. We laugh about that, but
Steve Bannon is in the news this week saying, I think he can get a 3rd term. He doesn't think the Constitution is a problem. I personally think that they're stepping away and the next person will come along. I've got to think that's the case. But I don't know. At this point, they don't surprise me anymore.
He has those Trump 28 hats. Is he just doing that to piss everybody off?
I think I saw our senator had one of those this week.
Which senator?
Banks.
No,
which senator would you guess?
Yeah. I don't. My party has left me. I don't know. I didn't leave the party. The party left me.
It's all a big circus now. We just have to enjoy the show.
Well, but the show's costing us.
I understand.
In the eyes of the world and the eyes of, I said people cannot be pro-life and then treat people the way we treat people, because those babies grow up. And the way we're treating people we've always been a country of immigrants. Now, maybe they didn't get here right, but when it upsets me when I see somebody that's been here for 30 years, got a good job supporting his family, got 3 sons in the military, defending the country, and then we're tackling him and hauling him into
the the reports of what you've seen with ICE enforcement in the last 2 weeks has been alarming. And I know a lot of social media video has gotten out and people have seen it and they've gone, this isn't what I signed up for.
No, people, they signed up for lower taxes, lower gas,
Want cheaper
lower food
groceries.
prices. They liked his immigration policy. And in my mind, that's Congress's job. Where have they been for the last 40 years?
I think the difference is people want a secure border. Once you kind of gotten through, catch them when you can.
And
But
if they're doing something
don't
wrong,
go renting a Honda Odyssey and putting on a neck gaiter and running through the streets grabbing people.
Like-
that's the part that doesn't
Yeah.
feel like America.
like
to a
don't
lot
go
of folks.
yanking parents out of the school pickup line to pick up their kids from school. I've seen that's happen. I saw like a really nice neighborhood, and ICE was just walking down the street, like looking for like landscapers. And I saw them yank a guy who was working as a landscaper, and just yanked him off the street and threw him in. And it that they don't identify themselves. Yeah, their faces are almost usually just covered, just their eyes are exposed. You can't tell anything else about them. And it's like the most un-American thing to see. It seems like SS kind of stuff, like back in like Russian, like a very
Very
domineering
authoritarian.
government that's just oppressive. So
Here's the other legislative question I have for you, Tom, on the map issue. Would the General Assembly pass something expecting it to get tossed and thrown out in court? Because
No.
you have there are laws that are in place to protect historically black congressional seats. The 7th congressional district has been held by an African American for over 30 years now.
And before him, his grandmother.
Right, exactly. He Andre Carson and his grandmother Julia Carson. So on that alone, I would think that you're going to see a lawsuit that could get these maps thrown out.
In the past, the leadership would have never done that because they didn't want the embarrassment. I don't know what they're thinking today. Maybe it's a way out. Well, we'll pass it to appease the president. If it gets thrown out, then we did our part. I don't know I honestly don't know what they're thinking. And the pressure is terrible, I'm sure.
Why can we not draw a map that just goes by county lines? Why can't we do that? Why does it all have to be some weird
People.
You have
I
to
get it.
divide the people up 9 ways, right? Essentially, or
Yeah.
somewhat close.
Well, can't we divide the counties up perfectly in 9 ways? That not possible?
well, you get into weird spots for populations because that would be 10 counties each. But like Marion County is going to be, you have certain counties that have a much higher population than others. I mean, the curiosity of chopping Marion County up is so bizarre because I would think you'd almost
Right now, Marion County's two people represent Marion County
okay.
now, if not 3, at least
3,
2.
I think. And I think who's Jefferson Shreve, I think.
He has the southern third.
Yeah.
He has like the bottom 3 townships,
Yeah.
and then it comes around to Columbus.
Well, see,
and
I think
catches
that's
us.
one reason Bev Gard retired from running for the Senate because they drew her into Marion County, and she just didn't want to run in that district.
Don't want to go to Irvington Halloween Festival. Joe Hogsett was asked to not go to that, by the way. Did you see that this week?
No.
They politely said, you've got too many skeletons in your closet.
Oh,
Joe."
the perfect time to go there.
Please, out of respect,
Go
for
to
women,
DC.
please
Go
don't.
to DC Stevenson's front yard and stand. The Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan lived in Irvington.
Did he really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
I figured he was from Morgan County.
Yeah,
honestly.
Martinsville. I had him pegged.
But his house is in
He was in
Irvington,
Irvington.
and Madge, the one he kidnapped, just lived down the street. There was a new book out last year, Fear in the Heartland, Indiana in the 1920s, and the Klan controlled the governor, Secretary of State, the Republican Party chairman, 92% of the General Assembly, and I had said, "Oh my God, how would I have operated there?" And they said, "Well, Tom, you wouldn't have because you're married to a Catholic. You would have never been allowed to be elected." So, and Newcastle's in that book, and we didn't fare very well.
Didn't do well.
Well, because
We had some stuff in the late 90s here.
Ed Jackson, the governor at the time, was from Henry County.
How many governors have we had?
From Henry County, just him.
Just him. Not our best one.
Not our best one. He didn't come
They
back.
had their shot.
He didn't come back to Henry County either. He went to Orleans, Indiana, and passed away.
My original home state is New York State, and I'm it's a mixed bag on some of the presidents my home state has produced. So that's how it goes. All right, Mr. Bones, but while we transition over, you have your special relationship with the friends over at Bobolink.
Yes.
And you brought over a sample of another store pick. What do we got going on over here?
We got a single barrel from Old 55 in Newton, Indiana.
That's up north. That's in it's the windmill country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it
Kyle Conrad.
is it
Newton
Benton County? Newton is Benton County, maybe?
Yeah. No. Yeah, Benton County.
Well, why they looked that up? This is the only this is the only single barrel the pick in the whole state of Indiana. So this
From these folks.
From these folks. This thing is 100% sweet corn. No other grains. No wheat, no barley, no rye. 100% sweet corn.
How old is it?
I couldn't tell you how the age, all the same, and all that.
Okay. I asked the tough question.
You did. So I'm going to guess.
When you say, what do you mean by one barrel? I'm not.
Okay. So if you get like a bottle of Jack Daniels, that's probably made up of components from 150 barrels. This is just one unique barrel.
I'm impressed that this is from Indiana because a lot of the stuff's from Kentucky or Southern Indiana. This is this is Chicagoland just about.
This is a Model and Bond, so 100 proof.
Well, we passed legislation when I was there to help the industry so they could produce in Indiana.
Benton County, 8,700 residents. That's down to the bottom 2 or 3.
Kyle Conrad, from his mother was from Morrell, Indiana. He's county commissioner up there, ran for the legislature. And
I like this. This is unique. There's a lot of sweetness to this.
It is. It takes the first shot of bourbon, Tom.
better than the candy.
It might pair well with candy.
This is well better than candy.
The first bit of it is just hot every time, so it takes a second. I'm not an expert like Mr. Bones in here.
Jeremiah thinks water's hot. His first drink of the day.
It is good. I like that.
And what's a bottle like that cost?
Unfortunately, this bottle is being 100% sweet corn. They don't make a lot of sweet corn. It's not like fields and fields and fields of it. So this bottle is going to set you back like 165.
Okay,
but it's
from a craft company.
Locally,
It's a beautiful bottle too. It's
It is,
engraved.
yeah.
You put that, yeah.
So it's unique. It's neat. I like it. It's the only one. You can only find this in Bobolink in the whole state.
Newtown, Indiana.
Newtown.
Gonna check this again.
I said it wrong. I might have. Will be the first time I screwed up a word.
Let's see where Newtown is actually at.
I think it's up north still too. Yeah.
It's in Windmill Country, isn't it?
I don't know.
If you want to do a real long callback, the 414 is Milwaukee.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I Googled that earlier.
They showed up for the playoffs.
Fountain County. Newtown is in Fountain County, so the west side of the state, over by the part of
Soon to
Illinois
be
that's
part
going to
of it,
be
yeah.
soon to be central Indiana.
Yes.
West Central.
Up there by Purdue.
Yeah, this is this is
Yeah,
still
south
somewhat
of-
in the same part
Kind
of
of
the world.
south of Lafayette and Overton.
Yeah. Yeah, this is still not too far from where we thought it was.
A couple more years will
41.
be West Terre Haute.
But this is good. So this is at Bobolink once again.
Bobolink.
So there's probably if they had one barrel of it, so
I'm going to say there's probably
80 bottles, 100 bottles of it maybe.
Yeah, probably.
And one is here. We're just graced by its
So
presence.
how many bushels of sweet corn does it take to make a barrel?
That is a very good question. I have no idea.
Bones is more on the drinking side than the production side of the operation.
That's very interesting to see how much sweet corn it would take to produce what it would just like they use regular yellow
make one
dip.
barrel.
Yeah.
We had
Corn.
some friends years ago came to our house and we served sweet corn for dinner. They lived in Indianapolis, and on the way back they stopped in pick some corn along the way.
Oh,
And
oh.
she called and said, our corn was so tough.
Not anywhere nearly as good as what you
You
served
got to
us.
go to the middle of the field. Peter.
You got to go till you almost get lost.
Mm.
So, you've been on a book tour, Tom. You wrote your own book a couple years ago, but now you're a promotions guy.
Yeah, I'm an agent, I guess.
So, Paul Landis is he's 89,
He's 90.
90. Did you just have a birthday?
He had a birthday in August.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you started promoting him. He was 89, and here he's 90.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So he was a Secret Service agent, starting with the Eisenhower administration.
25 years old.
He's from Ohio,
Worthington. Yeah.
and he didn't say anything after the assassination of JFK, but he was in Dallas,
Right.
and I think he finally decided he wanted to get the word out and write a book, and now he's on the book tour.
Well, he wrote the book 3 years ago, but the publisher didn't help him a lot. I was doing one of my presidential library trips, and we were going to go to Ohio and do the 9 historic sites over there. And I had read in a White House Quarterly magazine about this former Secret Service agent who was writing a book. And I thought, well, he'd be in Ohio. He was in Shaker Heights. So I wrote him a letter, and he made a mistake of answering. And so when we did our event, he met us in Ohio, and he and I were writing our books at the same time. And he's the last surviving Kennedy agent who was in Dallas, witnessed the assassination, witnessed the swearing in of Lyndon Johnson as president. But it affected him very badly. He only lasted 6 months after the assassination, because he said he'd be driving Mrs. Kennedy around and she'd be in the back seat crying, and the kids were wanting their dad. And every time he closed his eyes, he was seeing the president's head explode. So he left the Secret Service and did other things. Never read anything, never watched anything, never talked to anybody about
Never
it.
got any psychological help.
Never got any help.
Just lived his life. Just
And
kept it quiet like a good, proud American's supposed to.
he volunteers with the sheriff's department over in whatever county that is in Cleveland. And the sheriff gave him a book, 6 Seconds in Dallas, and said, I got this for you. You should read it. And he said, I don't want to read it. I lived it, And so laying on his bedside table, one night he picked it up and was flipping through it and read about the pristine bullet, the bullet that supposedly went through Kennedy's throat, then went through Connolly's shoulder, out into his wrist and into his thigh and then into his ankle. And they said they found it on Governor Connolly's stretcher. And he said, that's my bullet. I picked that bullet up when I got Mrs. Kennedy out of the limousine. And so he called another agent, and the agent says, well, I'm out of the country right now. Don't say anything till I get home. And so then they met, and he goes, I don't really think you should say anything about it. And Paul said that he just...
How long ago was this?
About 10 years ago.
Okay.
And he said, I didn't want to embarrass the Secret Service, but he said, I thought he was never interviewed by the Warren Commission. And, but he wanted to tell his side of the story. So he thinks there was 3 shots. They all came from the rear. And as far as he knows, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. So he's not a conspirator.
No grassy knoll.
No grassy knoll.
It was all Texas school.
If you look at that picture of the president's limousine, and there's a follow-up car behind him, and the 2 guys on the right are looking back towards the Texas School Book Depository, he's the second guy. When they got to the hospital, Clint Hill was trying to get Mrs. Kennedy to release the president's body so they could get him in the emergency room, and he finally did. And then after they took the president's body, Paul was helping Mrs. Kennedy out of the limousine. And he said on the floor were 2 bullet fragments in a pool of blood. And when she got up, there was a bullet laying behind her where the leather comes together with the chrome of the limousine. And he said, there was nobody guarding the car. It was evidence. I didn't want anybody taking it. What did I do? He's 27 years old. He picks it and puts it in his pocket. They go into the trauma room. They're standing at the foot of the president's stretcher. And he thought, I probably shouldn't have done that. So he took it out of his pocket, laid it at the president's butt, It started to roll off the table. He stopped and put it back on the table, and that's where he left it. So, he didn't read anything. So, as a lover of history, I've met two people who were in Dallas with the Kennedys, Jackie's secretary and Paul, and to be able to hear it from people who lived it, I mean that's an honor for me.
So you've been on a tour of Indiana with them.
Yeah.
You had a big event down in French Lick in Orange County,
Right.
where you're an adopted citizen.
Yeah.
Had a couple hundred people at French Lick.
They had the room set for 400. They had to put an initial 200 chairs up and then 75 people standing. So had about 700 people.
And then you filled up the Friends Church here in Newcastle a couple weeks ago. I got to see that presentation.
Yeah, I got him a paid gig to go to French Lick, and we sold 200 books. And then I asked him, I said, they need to raise a little money for the Historical Society. On your way home, would you mind doing? And he didn't charge them for that. We sold some books. And then I got him a gig to speak Monday at National Conference of Legislative Leaders at the Government Center. And then he did that on Monday. Then on Tuesday, he spoke to the retired legislators group and current members and anybody want to come in and hear him.
They still let you in the State House.
They did. I gave me a pass to use for the day. Now that may
Governor's
change
office?
after the day. I never went to the governor's office.
Would they let you in though?
Probably.
This one hasn't kicked you out yet.
No,
You're
yeah.
even at the
Yeah.
moment. You're not ahead or behind.
Frank O'Bannon kicked me out, but Frank O'Bannon and I were friends, and Mitch Daniels people kicked me out. So
Mike Pence never threw you out.
no.
He didn't have much of a legislative agenda though, so it was just a walk.
Well, Mike and I knew each other before the legislature. No, he never kicked me out. Matter of fact, he invited me down once. He had a new oil painting of Abraham Lincoln that had just hung in the office that had hung above Lincoln's casket in the other state house. He wanted me to see it. Told me he was looking for a large painting to put on this wall. I said, I know just the painting. It's in the children's home at Knightstown. And we'll get it. I never could find it after that. So somebody made off with something. So
You blame the governor for that one. That was probably one of your big quarrels with
Mitch,
Daniels over the.
that's why I got through out of the office.
Yeah, over the
Children's
closing
home.
the Knightstown Children's Home,
Yeah.
right?
He called me in. He says, I understand. Well, he called me and Jean Lysing because she represented Westfield. I understand you refer to my girls as bitches. And Jean goes, that's not true. It's always been Princess Anne and Princess Lauren. So anyway, but I did try to stress to him that I think we went into special session on that too, because he called me and I said, Governor, he said, Tom, they tell me they've all got a place to go to. I said, yeah, Governor. I said, they get to go home at Christmas time if they have a home to go to. And I said, I can introduce you to a young lady who went home for Christmas vacation. Her mother had a new boyfriend. Boyfriend didn't want her, and she lived on the streets for a week until the home opened back up. Is that the kind of place you want us closed down? And now I hear they want to close this facility down that they're using now for troubled youth at the academy, because it's too expensive to operate.
We do a really good job of putting people in jails later, but we don't do a great job of rehabilitation right now.
Mental health. I mean, most of the people in jails need to be somewhere getting mental assistance. And
we had 2 weeks ago, Zach, 3 weeks ago, we had Shannon Tom and Chad Malakot on talking about the needs for a youth facility. They're talking about trying to reopen the youth facility here in town and trying to figure out if it's feasible or not. And it's that's a bleak side and not a good answer.
But I mean, Henry County is a perfect example of that because we have a prison, and where that prison sits used to be a state hospital where people would, not necessarily the kind of people that needed like acute help, but it was like for people that there's nowhere else for them to go. They needed like 24-hour care, and they bulldozed it and built a prison on it.
That was my first year in the legislature. I'm in Michigan in a vacation, a little town, and my LA calls and said, the governor wants to send you a letter. I need a fax machine. And I go, well, let me see if I can find one. And it was closing, and it was done deal before we even started. And then
That was Governor O'Bannon?
Governor O'Bannon.
Yeah.
And Governor Bai had closed Central State Hospital. And at that time, we had a couple of nursing home facilities in Louisville. And they sent a couple of those patients here. And those old men would go out into the alley doing things I wouldn't want my granddaughter to see. They needed to be in a facility. And we closed it down.
Didn't have anywhere to go for it. So you're a presidential historian.
Mm-hmm.
You got a favorite?
Not really.
Nixon talked to you. At
Yeah,
least.
well, Nixon invited me to the White House. I got to go to his house in St. Cloud.
East Wing?
Oh, the East Wing.
Were you in the East Wing when Nixon brought
Well,
you in?
matter of fact, the part that they knocked down yesterday when I got invited to the White House, that's the entrance I went to. They put me in this office. I had my picture taken with the special assistant to the president before we went over to the Oval Office. So they just knocked down my history. You and I talked before. I think what upsets me the most is he's not going through the process. I belong.
There's no time. He's only got 3 years left.
I belong to the White House Historical Society. I get that White House Quarterly magazine, and I contribute a little money every year. And right after he announced that he was going to do this, 2-3 months ago, and nobody thought he was being serious about
He
it.
said he was going to be additive. He wasn't going to take anything away from what was there. He was going to add on.
Wasn't
right?
going to even touch it.
Right. It was, and then today you look and they've torn down the East Wing of the White House.
So I, when they asked for my yearly contribution, I wrote back and said, I want to know, did they run these plans by the commission? Do you guys agree with these plans, or are you sitting on your hands like Congress? And I never got an answer, but I guess I got the answer yesterday. And, the commission is supposed to approve these changes. He got rid of all those people in July and appointed them with his own people. And the smart remark was, because somebody asked him yesterday, had they seen the plans? And, well, we don't need plans for demolition. Well, that's weird. If you're going to change any historic building, you're supposed to submit plans. And I guess if he would build it in the right proportion, the White House is 55,000 square feet. The White House itself, it's 55,000 square feet. His new ballroom is going to be 90,000. It's going to overshadow the whole thing. If you go back when Benjamin Harrison from Indiana was president, there's a mock-up model that his wife wanted to build. God forbid it looks a lot like what Trump's doing right now. But why do we need a ballroom that seats 1,000 people? He could have built a nice ballroom that could have complemented the building.
Look how much money you could make charging a couple $1,000s a seat for that to be
Yeah,
in there.
one president charged $200,000 to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom, I guess. Mike Pence told me I get to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom for free, but that's not going to happen. So
He tried.
he tried.
He came close.
He's a man with that. I mean, he's in a rock and a
He's in a similar spot to you, where the party is not. There's an era of folks that were in the Republican Party in the 80s, 90s, early to mid 2000s, all the way through. I guess the last presidential candidate that was of that era would be Mitt Romney, right? And then after that, once you've gotten to this Trump era, it's just deviated.
But
I don't know, and I still think to myself, okay, the Republican Party is going to come back to more of what it used to be. But I don't know. I don't know what the successor is or who. I don't know where your next leader is going to come from, Tom.
I don't either. Well, there's a independent Indiana that started now, and there's a lot of money people from the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, big names, who are supporting independent candidates now. They asked me to come to an event in Indianapolis. I go, you can't use my election as an independent. I'm a small town, 98 votes. I could have got elected running as a dog catcher. And you can't use, but, they had the mayor of Bedford there and the mayor of Huntington, I think it was. So they're trying.
Rush County elected an independent sheriff a few years ago.
Yeah.
You'll see it on occasion. I know we had
And
independent county
upset the
commissioners.
Republicans down there terrible.
It'll take them just losing, for that platform to just become a failure at the polls, and then they'll realize, okay, wait, now we're done with this. We can move on.
But I guess what upsets me most is when you read on Facebook or you hear on the talking heads on television, the Democrats. It's not only Democrats are upset. There's a lot of Republicans out here who aren't happy either. And then you have how many people paraded last week?
The No Kings rally was
and
on
then you
Saturday.
got a president that sends out a cartoon of an airplane flying over and dumping shit. I mean, what kind of person
I'm
does?
not gonna lie, it was funny.
It isn't, but it's
It wasn't good.
How
but
do
it was
you
funny?
How do you respect somebody that acts that way, though? I mean,
People are starting to realize. I saw a post from our local farmer who grows beef,
yeah,
and he was pointing out that now we're going to start importing Argentinian beef after we bailed them out, and because and he's like, well, they're doing well because of me, so they need to bring the prices down. So that's how we're going to do it. And that farmer had Trump cutting their field when the first time he ran. So he's starting to do so many things that he's stepping on the toes of the people who are the reason he got elected.
The agriculture industry in Indiana is
real fed
is
up.
in a panic.
Yeah.
And that's what our program is next week. We've got Matt Chapman, who's a noted farmer here in the community, does a lot with the international soybean world, and I'm working on a certain ag dealer that I'm related to see if we can get her a babysitter. My sister Hannah's going to join us too.
there's no market for our soybeans. I understand.
We're struggling mightily to figure out where things are going to go because China can't buy it because this tariff game has really screwed up the economy for them. And
they're paying, man. We're not paying.
Yeah.
I can't believe the people that believe what he's selling. They wanted somebody to come in and make a change, and they wanted somebody to take the hard criminals off the street for immigration. But I don't know that they wanted this, and they're going to have to realize that
you're gonna send farmers into depression next year. You're going to find it much more difficult for operating loans for them to opt to exist, to be able to borrow enough money to be able to plant and to do whatever they need to do next year, and hope that they have somewhere to sell their grain next year.
if the bank will loan them the money.
Exactly, and at God knows what interest rate.
Yeah.
Right there are multiple factors, and those guys buy pickup trucks, they buy tractors, they
Trickle down economy.
there's a whole lot of things that are interconnected in our community that depend upon that.
Well, and I think there's a great concern that he wasn't going to win the midterms. That's why we're redrawing the maps. And, are we going to have midterms? I mean, that's a concern I have.
When they talk about redrawing these maps, there's a time crunch.
Yeah,
because the opportunity to put your name on the ballot is coming up in 50 days, 60 days.
Yeah.
It's January 1st, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere about first week of January.
Yeah,
and all those, and then you got to let the clerks know who's on the ballots, and those ballots have to be approved. And are we going to use paper ballots? I mean, it's just
it's going to be fun. Stay tuned.
And then you wonder
it's a
why.
good time to have a local commentary podcast, Tom.
Yeah.
Talk.
Well, and I probably offended some friends out there and maybe some family, but we're all entitled to our own opinion. And I don't dislike you for having that opinion. I just don't understand it.
There has to be a time where people feel comfortable in speaking their opinion and not being afraid of offending somebody, because at some point you're going to run out of opportunities to say your opinion.
It's not there yet.
It's going to be too broken.
I mean, I know people who feel the same way I do, but won't say anything to anybody because they don't want to offend their family member or their boss. I mean, we had a scarecrow contest in Louisville, and I wanted to make my scarecrow look like the president of the United States. And my wife goes, "Oh, don't, Tom, you just asked him for trouble." So I did. I listened to her.
It's something to look forward to for next year.
Yeah.
I saw an inch.
How much gold do you think could be in the East Wing of the White House?
Oh, that's the other thing. The
That's the
Oval
other thing.
Office just sets me off.
How and this isn't even a political thing. This has been his reputation his entire life. It is going to be the most not pretentious in the right, gaudy, tasteless, just excessive. Because that's his whole life. It's like his apartments in New York his entire life. This is like a new thing.
Gold
for him.
Escalade.
He just loves gold, and it's going to be just tasteless because he is. And this is something that Tom knows. My mom. He is the definition of like new money. There's no class in his wealth. He has to flaunt it. Everybody has to know how much he's got. It's gold toilets, gold this, gold that. He loves gold. And it's like, oh, you're not like a Vanderbilt or like some family that's been rich for 7 generations. They don't care that anybody knows that they're like, I ran into the perfect example. I probably told this before on the show. I was walking in 1994 at a rally downtown for the Brickyard 400. And I'm walking next to a woman. I said, who's this homeless woman? And that homeless woman was Mary Holman George. She did not look like she was the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Clabber Girl and all this other stuff. Trump's the opposite of that. They're going to have to like, we might get a little bit of money back when he's out if we just peel all the gold flake off. If it's real, it won't be real though. And
I
sell
was
it.
about to say, what's going to happen more, Fort Knox or the White House?
Watch Fort Knox have to get emptied to plate the inside of this ballroom.
He was gonna go down there and check and see if the gold was there, but I never heard.
I was really hoping he would because I really think Fort Knox is
just for the photo op.
Yeah, I think Fort Knox.
Well, that's all in the Oval Office now. I mean, he's got it all over the wall.
So you have quarrels with the way it's decorated?
I do, and I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can put it back. You know, this drawing of the ballroom is a big, beautiful ballroom that Jackie Kennedy would have never violated the building the way he has.
It was small additive things, right? Each
Yeah.
president hit the Truman balcony. You had the swimming pool where the press corps is now, right?
Yeah.
The Rose Garden was added by Jackie Kennedy.
Which, well,
was taken
that
out by
he
Obama.
violated he did it the last election. And now he added, I even saw the seal has his name in it over in the corner. It's more like he's creating a resort. But had he done the ballroom to complement the East Room, and you know, when Harry Truman, they talk about, well, Harry Truman remodeled the White House. Well, it was falling down. They took everything out of there piece by piece and used it in the renovation. That room, that East Wing he just tore down, was all paneled with the original lumber from the White House that they planed down and used for wall paneling. I don't think they saved anything from the looks of it. They just, boom.
Maybe he'll build a resort on the West Wing to balance out the ballroom.
And they said he was on the roof of the West Wing the other night, so maybe he has ideas for that too. So.
He's a developer.
And if the people don't call their congressman and voice some kind of concern, they think it's fine with us.
Do you honestly, like legitimately, do you think it's going to make a difference? If Jefferson Shreve's phone rings and it's Jeremiah from Henry County, is it going to move the needle in any way? Because I have lost any connection with Congress doing a damn thing for me or my family in the last 8 years, 10 years. I don't know.
I don't know if it does or not, but at least he can't say, well, I never heard from anybody. I was in the State House sometime March or April. You know, there's 6 congressmen out there and 2 senators.
You were in the legislature with?
Yeah, I was in the legislature with.
And the governor. He
Yeah,
was a state legislator with you, right?
So I walked in the bathroom and one of the congressmen was standing at the urinal. I said, Are you ready to come home yet? And he goes, oh, Tom, it's so much fun with Trump there. And I go, but you're missing an action. I said, some of this stuff that's going on needs to be done, but it's your job to do, not Musk, not Trump. It's your job. Oh, I know. I said, no, you don't know, or you'd be doing something about it. But
I got kicked out of the bathroom.
I've been kicked out of better places.
I honestly look at the congressional seats and I think, unless you're in leadership, what the hell's the point? We're on day 22 of a government shutdown, by the way, and we're tearing down the White House.
And
and we're not using it for fuel.
And they're blaming it on only the Democrats are mad at Trump. It's not only Democrats. Only Democrats are marching in the street.
You've got to stay off Facebook, okay? It's a cesspool, okay?
I don't. I watched CBS News last night when they had a thing about the
How
White
is
House.
Dan Rather? Is he still on CBS News? Who's
He
the
was
anchor?
he was in John. his mother was a Nancy Dickerson, John Dickerson, yeah, and then some other gentleman. So, but that was their opening segment last night. So, and I saw them knocking down all the tile off the roof. People like me who are collectors
Would love a piece.
they'd have bought a piece of that tile.
Yeah, they'd have got their monies back. It was like disassembling things.
Yeah.
They should have disassembled things to reuse them. But if nothing else, you can sell chunks of the White House.
Well, yeah, when Harry Truman did that, they sold pieces of wood and marble and made some money that they used to.
This was all privately funded.
Bullshit.
$250 million. They got
It's a
from Google.
shakedown.
They got from Google and everybody else. All the folks that want to do business with the federal government had to pay the VIG. They had to pay their piece so that they can get their regulation
This
that
is
they
from
need.
all the Trump shoes everyone bought. Remember those Trump shoes?
All those gold tennis shoes
Yeah.
or the Bibles.
The Bibles, yeah.
Or what else did he sell?
And the university,
Steaks.
college degrees there for a
And the
minute.
Steaks.
And steaks.
Ties.
I was going to say the casino, but that went bankrupt.
Well, he came this close to getting the French Lick. And Mitch Daniels wouldn't let him have the contract. Because there's one of the ladies that was in charge of the orange shirts down there that brought locals out to the legislature for 10 years for lobbyists. He sent her big bouquet of yellow roses asking her to help him get the license. So
Didn't work out.
didn't work out.
Final thoughts, Mr. Zach?
Black Cat 5Ks this weekend at the YMCA. So if you're interested in doing a walk or run 5K, benefits the Y. I think it's at 5 o'clock at the Y. So check that out. That might be about it for me. Yeah, it's a quieter week for me, but it's been a long week already still. So
Cross country school still going, or are we done?
we got 4 kids that went to regional this week. So we're gonna be going down to Shelbyville. 2 boys, 2 girls, both did a great job at sectional. Considering the sectional was in whatever, was it October 17th or whatever, 18th? It was 73 degrees, I think, for the girls' race on a Saturday afternoon in mid-October. And I looked it up and I was like, hey, guys, and they were a little bummed. I was like, hey, guys, we're here at the end of August 30th, Labor Day weekend. And it was 63 degrees for a little bit earlier race, but not early enough to justify that. So, but fall showed up Saturday night. So yeah, we were camping that weekend. It was a good time. A lot of people cleared out. Yes, we have 2 going on, 2 or 4 running this Saturday, and we'll see if they get out. It's kind of a complicated formula to get out of regional, but you never know.
So regionals in Shelbyville and state would be Terre Haute.
Yes. I think
I'm
not sure.
convenient right there near our new counties in Illinois.
Yeah. Right off I-7.
We're forward thinkers.
Or off I think it's exit 23. Yeah, it's extra because when we drove over, they were like, "Oh, it's exactly 100 miles because we're 123 and it's 23."
Well, if we do annex, well, I hope we get Springfield. Then we get Lincoln's home, and we can claim Lincoln for everything.
That's it. You get all of it. What if we take their capital?
I saw that post. I saw like news post about that group meeting, and they had the map and everything. And it still is as much dumpster fire stuff as there's going on at the federal level. That is still wildly embarrassing to me as a Hoosier that we're even spending money and entertaining the idea of this. Because they showed the map. It's not contiguous. There's like a county floating up, and then like mid
on the Mississippi River in Iowa.
Yeah,
at Iowa.
And I'm like, and everybody's like, yeah. And somebody's like, you realize this is we're talking about annexing the poorest parts of Illinois too. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, they're going to contribute to the economy in a big way or anything here. It's embarrassing.
More farmers are getting hosed. Tom, thanks for being here. Is there anything we forgot? Any other? Do you want to burn any more bridges?
I've probably said too much tonight, but I feel so much better. It's good therapy for us.
This is anytime.
Yeah.
And I'm not running for anything, so
the hell with it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get brought down to the State House, or from the State House to the White House, or did you miss out? Did you guys ever get called in?
Not like that.
Not leaned on. You didn't get the Johnson treatment.
We went one time on a legislative. And Mitch Daniels was the budget director. When we went to the Eisenhower building late at night, they had a stack of federal budgets laying on Mitch's desk. He was going to present it to Congress the next morning. And I said, could I have one of those? And yeah. I said, would you sign it? He said, yeah. So I took it and put it in my backpack. The next morning I was back for a meeting with Tommy Thompson, who was the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. There was only about 20 of us in the room. And then he got done. He said, hey, there's somebody out here who wants to talk to you. And George Bush walks in. And he said a few words and he was walking around the room. And I said, Mr. President, would you sign your budget for me? He goes, you have my budget? Congress doesn't have my budget. And he signed it. And I got home and was watching C-SPAN, and I watched it all on C-SPAN. So, and as a collector, I thought, well, that was a damn good investment.
That's right. You got it. The budget passed. The president signed it. The future governor signed it.
Yeah.
And now you can put it on eBay and make $30.
Maybe. Political stuff's still bringing pretty good. In this book, as a collector, Paul talked about the morning they left for Dallas. This Muggsy guy at the White House gave him a handful of PT 109 tie clasps and lapel pins. And he put them in his bag, and they didn't get handed out. They were in a lockbox, and I now own one. So
very nice. Mr. Bones, anything you want to know? Anything we want to promote? We forgot?
Just you did about see, screwed up words.
It's the liquor.
It is. Just get down to Bobolink, Centerville, Cameron City, Rushville, Old 55, store pick. They have other store picks there as well. Everything's open and up for samples if you want to try it before you buy it.
I've got homework for you. I'm going to Prophetstown State Park this weekend.
Okay.
In Tippecanoe County.
Okay.
And they have the Bobolink shelter there, and I don't know why.
Ooh.
They have a Bobolink shelter. Why? I want to know why those guys sponsored a shelter up there. But it's literally the name after that.
Oh yeah.
So that's I need to ask around, find out what's up.
Don't they have a new lodge there?
Potato Creek's getting a lodge. They're getting a campground expansion, and they've got the nicest water park in the state. Prophetstown is very nice.
I tried to get a lodge here and didn't get it done.
I have been in the ear of Representative Criswell saying we need a campground expansion in Henry County desperately. That there are so many people that come to the community every weekend that those parks are full.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find a way to get more people in, it increases your tourism, your food and beverage, all of that.
And since the national parks are closed, they may want to come.
They
to
just
the local park.
come right on in. We had the state parks folks on a couple months ago. The Indiana Parks Alliance people. That was really, really an interesting group.
Well, I was going to do one of my roving elephant trips. We were going to go to Hoover, Truman, Eisenhower. We were going to have dinner with Eisenhower's granddaughter on Ike's birthday. Then we were going to Clinton and somebody else. But I couldn't get enough people to fill the bus. First time in 20 years. It's a good thing it didn't happen because everything's closed.
Yeah.
COVID.
Saved me money.
COVID screwed it all up. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Thanks, Bones, being here. Looking forward to continuing on. Next week we do have a show scheduled Thursday the 30th. So we'll be back. We're gonna talk some ag and see how things are affecting the farm economy going forward, because I think that's going to be a big story going into 2026 for our area. With that, thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.